The lactation consultant's card sits on my kitchen counter for 3 days before I can bring myself to call. Discreet wet nursing services. Competitive compensation. Confidential. My breasts ache. They've ached for 4 months now, since the hospital, since the silence in the delivery room, since they handed me my daughter and she was already gone. Hannah. I held her for 2 hours. She was perfect and still and would never open her eyes. My body didn't get the memo. It prepared anyway. Milk came in on day 3, right on schedule, and it won't stop. I've tried everything. Tight sports bras, cold cabbage leaves, pumping just enough to relieve the pressure. The suppression drugs cost more than my rent. So here I am, pumping into the sink at 3 a.m., watching liquid gold swirl down the drain, crying so hard I can barely breathe. My phone buzzes. Another debt collector. My ex-partner drained our joint account before he left. Apparently, dead babies aren't worth sticking around for. I call the number. The agency is cold and efficient. They need my medical history, lactation volume, blood work, background check. The pay is obscene, 10 times what I make working 3 jobs. There's a client, they say. Urgent situation. Twins. I'd live on site. The father is very private, the coordinator tells me. You'll sign an NDA. No photos. No discussion of the family. You're there to provide nutrition, nothing more. I should feel something about this. Shame, maybe, or hesitation. Instead, I feel numb relief. My body insists on feeding a baby. Fine. Let it feed someone else's. The medical exam is humiliating. They test my milk, check for diseases, examine me like livestock. I pass. The NDA is 17 pages long. I sign without reading. I never meet the father before my first day. The mansion sits behind iron gates in the wealthiest part of Seoul. My battered suitcase looks obscene against the marble entryway. A housekeeper named Mrs. Shin shows me to my room, larger than my entire apartment, with an attached bathroom and a breast pump already set up on the dresser. The twins are in the nursery, she says quietly. Mr. Kong has very specific requirements. She hands me a folder. Feeding schedule down to the minute. Rules typed in cold, precise language. No unnecessary physical contact. No singing or talking during feeds. Babies will be brought to you at scheduled times. Do not enter the nursery otherwise. All feedings will be monitored. My hands shake reading it. This isn't childcare. It's a transaction. The twins arrive at 6 p.m. exactly, carried by a stern night nurse. They're 10 weeks old, tiny and red-faced, crying with the desperate sound of babies who've been hungry too long. My heart clenches. This is Juno, the nurse says, handing me one. And Minjun. The moment Juno latches, something in my chest breaks open. He nurses frantically, desperately, like he's been waiting his whole short life for this. His tiny hand curls against my skin. Minjun fusses in the bassinet, and I'm crying before I realize it, tears dripping onto Juno's downy head. They're alive. They're alive. And Hannah isn't. I hate how much this helps. I hate how much it hurts. I don't see their father for 3 days. The routine is rigid. Babies arrive every 3 hours. I feed them. The nurse takes them away. I pump between sessions. My door stays closed. At night, I hear footsteps in the hallway, pacing, endless pacing, but no one knocks. On day 4, he finally appears. Kong Miho looks like he hasn't slept in months. His suit is expensive but rumpled. Dark circles carve shadows under his eyes. He's handsome in that sharp, dangerous way some alphas are, but his expression is completely hollow. He doesn't greet me. Just stands in the doorway of the feeding room, watching me nurse Minjun with an expression I can't read. They're gaining weight, he says finally. His voice is rough and used. Yes. The pediatrician is pleased. Good. Silence stretches. Minjun makes soft, contented sounds. Miho's jaw tightens. Don't get attached, he says abruptly. This is temporary. Once they're weaned. I understand. I cut him off. I'm staff. You've made that clear. Something flickers in his eyes. Anger maybe. Or pain. Then it's gone, buried under ice. See that you remember it. He leaves. I hear him in the hallway after, a sound that might be a sob or might be nothing. Weeks blur together. The twins thrive. They're filling out, their cries less desperate, their sleep more peaceful. I learn their differences. Juno likes to be rocked, Minjun prefers stillness. Despite the rules, I hum sometimes. I can't help it. My body remembers the lullabies I'd practiced for Hannah. Miho's hostility grows stranger. He watches the camera feeds constantly. I can tell from how he references exact timestamps, criticizing my positioning, my timing. Once, he bursts in during a night feeding. You're holding him wrong. Support his head more. His head is supported. Not enough. What if Miho stops, breathing hard? Just do it correctly. After he leaves, Mrs. Shin finds me shaking. He's not angry at you, she whispers. His wife died 8 weeks ago. The babies were 2 days old. He hasn't processed any of it. I think about the empty nursery wing, the absence of any photos, the way Miho looks at his sons like they're both miracle and curse. I think about how I can't look at baby girls without wanting to scream. We're both haunted. The difference is his ghosts are still breathing. 2 months in, I make a mistake. I'm in the kitchen at midnight, warming a bottle of pumped milk for Juno's next feeding, when I hear Miho's voice from his study. The door is cracked. I hate having him here. His voice breaks. Every time I see him with them, I can't. My blood goes cold. I back away silently, heart hammering. He wants me gone. Of course he does. I'm a reminder of everything wrong, that his wife should be here, that he needed help, that his children required a stranger's body to survive. I'm already planning my resignation when Juno starts screaming at 3 a.m. Unusual screaming, the kind that means something's wrong. I run to the nursery without thinking, breaking every rule. Miho is there, holding Juno, looking terrified. He won't stop. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to gas, I say immediately, taking Juno. I position him, apply gentle pressure, and within seconds he passes gas and stops crying. Miho stares at me, at his son, now peaceful in my arms, at his own empty hands. You should go, he says hoarsely. You shouldn't be here. But he doesn't take Juno back. And I don't leave. We stand there in the dark nursery at 3 a.m., 2 broken people holding pieces of lives that should have been different, and I realize something terrible. I can't lose these babies too. I won't survive it. 3 months into this arrangement, I realize Kong Miho is unraveling. It starts small. He forgets to eat. Mrs. Shin leaves trays outside his study that go untouched. He wears the same shirt 2 days running. During feedings, he stands outside the door. I can see his shadow through the gap, just watching, breathing too fast. One night, I catch him in the nursery at 4 a.m. The twins are asleep in their cribs. He's sitting on the floor between them, face in his hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I back away before he notices. Some grief is too private to witness. But his criticism of me intensifies. Every feeding becomes an interrogation. Why is Juno fussing? He's got gas. It's normal. You're holding him at the wrong angle. Mr. Kong, I've been doing this for 3 months. Clearly not well enough. The twins are healthy, thriving. Their pediatrician says they're in the 75th percentile for weight. None of it matters to Miho. He watches the camera feeds obsessively, catching every minor adjustment I make, every soothing sound I hum despite his rules. I told you not to sing to them. It helps them latch. I don't care. Stop it. I want to scream at him. I want to ask what he's so afraid of. But I need this job. The debt collectors have stopped calling because I'm finally making payments. I can't afford to lose this. Mrs. Shin pulls me aside one morning. He barely sleeps. 2 hours a night, maybe. The night nurse says he sits with the twins after you leave, just holding them and crying. He's breaking, Jiho. That's not my problem to fix. No, she says sadly. But you're the one he's taking it apart on. The breaking point comes on a Tuesday. I'm feeding Minjun at 2 p.m. He's drowsy, nursing lazily, almost done. Then he coughs, just once, a tiny aspirated sound. Completely normal. Babies do this. I adjust him, pat his back gently. He's fine within seconds, already drifting to sleep. The door slams open. Miho stands there, face white with terror. What happened? Why is he coughing? He's fine. Just a little milk went down wrong. You weren't paying attention. His voice rises, sharp with panic. You could have choked him. You could have. Mr. Kong, I know what I'm doing. No. You don't care about them. You're just here for the money. He's shouting now, and Minjun startles awake, beginning to cry. You don't love them. You can't. You're using them as replacements for. Something inside me snaps. You're right. I'm on my feet, Minjun clutched to my chest. I am here for money. Because I have debts I'll never escape. I delivered my daughter dead and my partner left me the same day. I haven't slept more than 4 hours in a year. Miho steps back, shocked. These babies are alive and healthy and gaining weight perfectly, and you hate me for it. Tears pour down my face. You want me to fail. You want something to go wrong so you can keep punishing yourself for surviving when she didn't. Get out. His voice shakes. You're fired. Pack your things. Fine. I hand him Minjun. He takes his son clumsily, like he's forgotten how. But when they end up back in the hospital because you're too broken to accept help, remember this was your choice. I'm packed within an hour. The severance check he promised? I check my account 3 days later. Nothing. He stopped the payment. Of course he did. One final cruelty. I'm working the night shift at a convenience store when my phone rings. 72 hours after I left. It's 2 a.m. Unknown number. I almost don't answer. Jiho. A woman's voice, tight with stress. This is Dr. Park from Seoul Medical Center. You're listed as an emergency contact for. My heart stops. The twins. They're in pediatric intensive care. Dehydration, failure to thrive. They won't eat. Mr. Kong gave us your number. He's asking if you'll. I don't hear the rest. I'm already running. The hospital is too bright, too cold. A nurse leads me to the PICU. Through the window, I see them, Juno and Minjun in separate cribs, 4 lines in their tiny arms, looking so much smaller than they did 3 days ago. Miho stands between them. He looks destroyed. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, eyes red and swollen. He sees me and something in his face crumbles. They won't eat, he whispers. They're crying constantly. Minjun ruptured blood vessels in his eyes from screaming. The doctors tried everything. Formula, different bottles, feeding tubes, nothing works. They're dying, Jiho. I'm watching them die and I can't. His voice breaks completely. He's crying now, harsh sobs he can't control. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I blamed you for everything I couldn't face. For her death, for needing help, for not being enough. You were right about everything. I wanted you to fail because if you succeeded, it meant she was replaceable and I couldn't. I can't accept that she's gone. Let me see them, I say quietly. The nurses bring Juno first. He's listless, weak, but the moment I hold him, he turns toward me. His tiny mouth searches. When he latches, he drinks desperately, making small distress sounds. Miho watches from across the room, one hand over his mouth. Minjun is worse. He barely responds at first. But I hold him close, let him smell me and slowly, so slowly, he begins to nurse. Relief floods through me so intensely I feel dizzy. They're okay, the doctor says, monitoring their vitals. Their response to you is remarkable. Mr. Kong, we'll need to discuss a care plan, but this is very promising. Miho just nods, unable to speak. When the twins are stable enough to leave, Miho finds me in the hallway. Name your price, he says. Anything. Please come back. I should refuse. Self-respect demands it. But I look through the window at Juno and Minjun, finally sleeping peacefully, and I know I can't walk away. Triple my rate. You release my severance immediately. And you start therapy. Real therapy, not just agreeing to make me stay. Done. And Mr. Kong? I meet his eyes. You stay out of my way. You don't criticize. You don't hover. You deal with your grief somewhere else, because I can't carry yours and mine both. He flinches. But he nods. We return to the mansion 3 days later. Everything is different now. The pretense is gone. We're both broken people barely keeping 2 babies alive, and we both finally know it. The first week back is silent warfare. Keep my door locked. Feed the twins on schedule. Leave immediately after. Miho's severance payment clears, all of it, plus the triple rate he promised. I don't thank him. He doesn't expect me to. We orbit each other like satellites, never quite colliding. But the twins are different now. At 4 months old, they recognize me. Juno smiles when I pick him up. Minjun grabs my finger and won't let go. It terrifies me how much I've missed them. How much I need this. I catch Miho watching sometimes. Not with hostility anymore. Something else. Something raw. Mrs. Shin mentions he started therapy. Twice a week. I don't ask about it. I join a pregnancy loss support group on Thursdays. We don't discuss these things. Then, at 4 a.m. on a random Wednesday, everything changes. I'm in the nursery. The twins are asleep. I should be in bed, but I can't stop watching them breathe. And alive. My daughter never did this. She never took a single breath. The panic hits without warning. My chest tightens. I can't breathe. The room spins. I slide down the wall, gasping, trying desperately to stay quiet because I can't wake them, I can't fail them, I can't. Jiho. Miho stands in the doorway. He's in pajama pants and a wrinkled t-shirt. For once, he looks human. I'm fine, I wheeze. Just go. He doesn't. He sits beside me on the floor, keeping distance between us. Breathe with me. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. I can't. Yes, you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. I focus on his voice. Steady. After 5 minutes, my breathing slows. The panic recedes to manageable terror. I get them too, he says quietly. The panic attacks. Usually around 3 a.m. That's when he stops. Swallows hard. That's when she died. 3:47 a.m. I watched her bleed out and I couldn't do anything. I turned to look at him. Really look. His hands are shaking. The doctors asked me to choose, he continues, voice barely a whisper. Save her or save the babies. She was hemorrhaging. They said they'd try for all 3, but I had to decide who to prioritize if it came to that. She was conscious. She heard them ask. And she looked at me and said, save them. Promise me. Tears streamed down his face. So I did. I chose. And she died anyway. They couldn't stop the bleeding. I kept my promise and I killed my wife. That's not how it works, I say, but my voice cracks. You didn't kill her. Then why does it feel like I did? We sit there in the dark. 2 people drowning in survivor's guilt while babies sleep peacefully nearby. Her name was Hannah, I finally say. My daughter. I delivered her at 37 weeks. Perfect. Silent. The cord was wrapped around her neck. They said it happened fast, that she didn't suffer. I held her for 2 hours. She had my nose. I'm sorry, Miho whispers. My partner left that day. Told me he couldn't handle this. I had to plan her funeral alone. My body still made milk. Still prepared. Like it was mocking me. That's why you took this job. I needed the money. But also, I look at the twins. I needed them to mean something. The pain. All of it. I needed it to save someone. Miho follows my gaze. They need you. More than I ever admitted. They need you too. They need their father. I don't know how to be that without her. Neither do I. But we're doing it anyway. Something shifts after that night. Not romance. Not yet. But truth. We start talking during 3 a.m. feedings. Miho sits with me now. Tells me about Suin, how they met, their first date, how scared she was when she got pregnant. How much she wanted to be a mother. What would she think of me now, he asks one night. Falling apart. Firing you. Nearly losing them. She'd probably think you were human, I say. And trying. I tell him about my mother's cancer. How she refused aggressive treatment because of the cost. How I'm still paying for her death. Hannah's father said I was selfish for keeping the pregnancy. That I should have prepared better, been healthier, done something different. Like I killed her through negligence. That's not true. Then why does it feel like I did? He echoes my words back to me gently. That's not how it works. We're mirrors. Same grief, different losses. The kiss happens 6 weeks later. Completely unexpected. It's late. The twins are finally asleep after a difficult evening. Miho and I are exhausted, sitting on the nursery floor, backs against the wall. I don't know how to do this, he says suddenly. Do what? Want this. Want you. While she's dead. My heart stops. Miho. I know it's wrong. I know I shouldn't. But when you're here, I don't feel like I'm drowning anymore. And that terrifies me because what right do I have to survive when she didn't? What right do I have to feel anything for someone else? The same right I have, I whisper, to keep living even though Hannah can't. He turns to me. His eyes are wet. Is it allowed? Can we do this? I don't know. I need to know you want this too. That I'm not. That you're not just here because you need the job or the babies or... I kiss him. It's messy and desperate and tastes like tears. His hands come up to cup my face like I'm something precious he's terrified to break. When we pull apart, we're both shaking. I'm scared, I admit. Me too. We should go slow. Yes. We don't move. We just sit there, foreheads pressed together, breathing each other's air. The next 2 months are careful. Therapy continues. We set boundaries. Some nights Miho sleeps on the floor of my room because the nightmares are too bad. Some nights I sleep in his arms while he cries for Suin. It's not romantic. It's survival. The twins turn 6 months old. They start solids. My role is shifting. Less crucial, more supplemental. The fear creeps in. What happens when they don't need me anymore? Then, on a Tuesday morning, a black car pulls up to the gate. A woman emerges. Elegant, cold-faced, furious. Mrs. Shin goes pale. That's Suin's mother. Miho comes downstairs. He looks at the woman through the window and something in him shuts down. What's she doing here? I ask. She disowned Suin for marrying me. They hadn't spoken in 2 years. His voice is flat. She didn't come to the funeral. The doorbell rings. Miho doesn't move. Should I let her in? The woman's eyes sweep over me with obvious disgust. So it's true. You've replaced my daughter with some omega you hired. Mrs. Han, Miho says coldly. You have no right. I have every right. I'm their grandmother. She pulls papers from her bag. I'm filing for custody. You're clearly unfit. And I have evidence. My blood turns to ice. She smiles. It's a terrible smile. I'll see you in court. The lawyer's office smells like expensive leather and desperation. Miho sits across from his attorney, papers scattered everywhere. Security footage stills, medical records, testimony transcripts. All of it damning. I watch from the corner, invisible and terrified. They have footage from the first 2 months, the attorney says grimly. You pacing the halls at night. The twins screaming. Not sleeping, not eating. Staff testimony about erratic behavior. I was grieving, Miho says, but his voice is hollow. The court won't see grief. They'll see neglect. The attorney slides another document forward. And they have Jiho's medical records. The stillbirth. Depression diagnosis. Postpartum trauma. They're painting him as unstable. My stomach drops. How did they get my records? Money buys access. The attorney looks at me without sympathy. Mrs. Han is arguing that you're using her grandchildren as emotional substitutes for your deceased child. That Mr. Kong enabled this because he was too mentally compromised to make sound decisions. That's not true, I whisper. Truth doesn't matter. Optics do. The custody hearing is 3 weeks away. Miho barely speaks. He goes through motions, feeding times, diaper changes, but he's disappearing inside himself again. I find him at 2 a.m. in his study, staring at his laptop. Security footage plays on screen. Him, 2 months ago, standing outside the nursery door at 4 a.m., head in his hands. This is what they'll show the judge, he says flatly. A father who couldn't handle his own children. You were in pain. I fired you out of spite. I almost let them die because I couldn't face my own grief. He closes the laptop. Maybe she's right. Maybe they deserve better. Don't you dare. I'm shaking with anger now. Don't you dare give up on them. Why not? I've failed at everything else. Because they need you. Because being broken doesn't make you unfit, it makes you human. He looks at me with empty eyes. What if human isn't enough? The real devastation comes 1 week before the hearing. Mrs. Han's lawyer releases new evidence. A phone call, recorded 2 days before Suin's death. Her voice, young and scared and crying. Mom, I think I made a mistake. I can't do this. I'm trapped. I'm so scared. He doesn't understand. Nobody understands. The recording cuts off. The implication is clear. Miho listens to it once. Then locks himself in his bedroom for 18 hours. I sit outside his door, heartbreaking. Miho, please. Talk to me. Nothing. Mrs. Shin brings food he won't eat. The twins cry for their father. He doesn't come out. Finally, at midnight, I pick the lock. He's on the floor surrounded by photos. Wedding pictures. Ultrasound images. Suin's face, smiling, everywhere. Our whole marriage was a lie, he whispers. She died regretting me. You don't know that. I heard her. She said she was trapped. His voice breaks. I forced her into this life and it killed her. Just like I'm killing everything I touch. I kneel beside him. Pick up a photo, Suin, heavily pregnant, laughing at something off camera. This doesn't look like a woman who regretted you. The recording was one moment, one phone call. People are complicated, Miho. Grief is complicated. Maybe she was scared. That doesn't erase everything else. But he's not listening. He's drowning again. I spend the next 2 days searching. Mrs. Han's claims don't add up. That phone call, why record it? Why keep it? I contact the hospital social worker who saw Suin before delivery. She's hesitant but finally talks. She had prenatal depression. Severe anxiety about childbirth. It's common but often undiagnosed. She was terrified of dying. Turns out she had reason to be. Did she mention her marriage? Only to say her husband didn't understand her fears. But she also said she loved him. That she wanted her babies. Mental health isn't black and white. I keep digging. Find Suin's obstetrician. Her therapist won't break confidentiality, but mentions Suin kept a journal. Miho has it. Locked in his desk drawer. I break in, another lock picked, another boundary crossed, and read. Page after page of fear. Of contradiction. And near the end, I called Mom today. Told her I was scared. She didn't understand. Nobody does except Miho. He holds me when I cry. Tells me we'll get through this. I don't deserve him. I don't deserve any of this happiness. What if I'm not enough? What if I fail them? The phone call wasn't about regretting marriage. It was about depression. About fear. Mrs. Han took one vulnerable moment and weaponized it. The courtroom is cold and too bright. Mrs. Han sits with her lawyers, perfectly composed. Miho looks like he hasn't slept in days. They present everything. The security footage, Miho at his worst. Medical records, the twins' failure to thrive. My history, stillbirth, depression, obvious emotional instability. This Omega is using my grandchildren to replace his dead child, Mrs. Han testifies, voice dripping false sympathy. And Mr. Kong is too traumatized to see it. These babies deserve stability, not a house of grief. When it's my turn to testify, my hands shake so badly I can barely hold the microphone. The opposing lawyer attacks immediately. Mr. Park, you suffered a stillbirth 4 months before taking this position, correct? Yes. And you were diagnosed with postpartum depression? Yes. Isn't it true you're projecting your maternal grief onto these children? I look at Juno and Minjun in the back row, held by a social worker. 6 months old. Healthy. Alive. Yes, I say quietly. The courtroom murmurs. Miho's face goes white. But not the way you mean, I continue, voice stronger now. I lost my daughter. These boys lost their mother. We understand loss in this house, all of us. And maybe that's exactly what makes us fit. That's absurd. Is it? I'm standing now. I know how fragile life is. I don't take a single breath they take for granted. I check them constantly. I notice every cough, every cry, every change. Can you say that? Can someone who hasn't lost say that? You're emotionally unstable. I'm emotionally honest. Tears stream down my face. Yes, feeding them hurts sometimes. Yes, I think about what I lost. But that pain doesn't make me dangerous. It makes me careful. It makes me present. These babies are thriving because we love them enough to break ourselves trying to save them. I turn to Mrs. Han. You didn't come to your daughter's funeral. You didn't call when your grandchildren were born. You showed up 6 months later with lawyers and judgment. Where were you when they needed you? When Suin needed you? How dare you? She was scared and alone and she called you and you did nothing. And now you want to take her children away from the father who chose them? Who kept her promise? Who's trying every single day despite drowning in grief? The judge calls for order. I'm shaking, spent. Miho's attorney presents the journal entries. The therapist notes. Evidence of prenatal depression and anxiety. That phone call, our lawyer explains, was taken out of context. Suin was struggling with mental health, not regretting her marriage. Mrs. Han knew this and used it anyway. The judge reviews everything. Hours pass. Finally, custody remains with Mr. Kong. Supervised visitation for Mrs. Han, pending family therapy. This court recognizes that grief doesn't equal unfitness. Case dismissed. We win. But it doesn't feel like winning. That night, Miho pulls away completely. Won't touch me. I'm poison, he says. Everyone who gets close to me suffers. You almost lost everything because of me. That's not. Leave Jiho. Before I destroy you too. It's the ultimatum I've been dreading. Stay and watch him self-destruct, or go and lose the twins. I'm not going to keep saving you from yourself, I say, voice breaking. Either you fight for this, for them, for us, or I'm done. Not because I don't care. Because I care too much to watch you give up. I walk out, go to my room, start packing. An hour later, both twins start screaming. Not hungry crying, distressed crying. I find Miho on the nursery floor, a baby in each arm, tears pouring down his face. They reached for both of us, he chokes out. I picked them up and they kept reaching for you. They want both. They need both. Juno stretches toward me. Minjun does the same. I kneel beside them. Take Minjun. The crying stops. They're choosing us, Miho whispers. Both of us. Then stop choosing to leave, I say. Stop deciding we're not worth it. I'm scared. Me too. But I'm staying anyway. Epilogue. 1 year later, we plant a cherry tree in the garden. 2 trees actually. One for Suin. One for Hannah. The twins toddle between them, chasing butterflies. 15 months old. Healthy, but alive. Miho holds my hand. Do you think they'd forgive us? For being happy? I think they'd want us to try. We're not perfect. Therapy continues. Some days are harder than others. But we're here. Present. Fighting. The twins will grow up knowing they had a mother who loved them enough to die for them. And a sister who brought their family together. Not a happy ending. A surviving one. And sometimes, that's the most honest thing we can hope for.